coming on Friday, and then the clothes fall, 'cause it's just minutes and highways, until the one I love, the one I love, I never knew that I could love someone the way that I love you. I never knew that I could love someone the way that I love you, yeah. I never knew that I could love someone the way that I love you. I never knew, I never knew. I never knew that I could love someone the way that I love you. I never knew that I could love someone the way that I love you. I never knew that I could love someone the way that I love you, yeah. I never knew, I never knew, no. I never knew, no. I never knew that I could love, that I could love, that I could love someone, that you could love, that you could love someone like me. That I could love, that I could love, that I could love someone like, that you could love someone like me.
Talk about a beautiful day. You guys kind of started off interesting this morning. Something you'll cry about this morning. You'll cry about this afternoon maybe even, but in 20 years it'll be a real treasure and a real opportunity to giggle about. And by the way, your dress looks fabulous.
This is the third one.
There isn't many that get 3 dresses in one day, that's for sure. I've lost a lot of sleep over this, I have you two know. But it's been a real opportunity, and I'm very grateful for the Gardner family and the Dimond family asking me to come and participate in this special ordinance. Even though I do have the son who was called the matchmaker. My son Brack, that's what he said. He says, I'm the matchmaker now, so you guys will have to help him out maybe one day. About a month ago, and I hope you guys can all hear me, about a month ago they came and driving into my office, which is not a real fancy office, but it is an office, and they wanted to take a few minutes of my time, and I think 3 or 4 hours later we got done, but had through, I don't know, a couple hours later or something, but it was a great opportunity to get to know Erin, and I think that was the first time I'd ever met you, I believe. And I've known Josh for some time, and they told me a lot of stories, and I asked a lot of questions, and they were raised by great parents. I've known the Dimond family for some time, and so I wanted to learn a lot about Mike and Lisa. And I asked a lot of questions about Mike and Lisa. And as we was in the temple today, there was something that was taught that I thought was very appropriate. And it talked about the triangle. And I know Mike spends quite a little time in the mountains and the woods. And it sounds like he must have we'll come to a man's cave here in a minute. I got a little story to go with that as well. But the thing that was taught to me was the principle of honesty, integrity, hard work. I asked his mother I asked your mom last night, Erin, what was one thing you want me to talk about? And she says work. And as it's kind of peculiar, as I was thinking about some of the things, as times get tough, it's about work. Work with each other. It doesn't matter whether you're going to work for the trivial things of life or the spiritual things that change the eternities or the family things when you have your first child, and it's a lot of work. But the life will be changed, and it's a great opportunity. And I want you to know that. And don't ever get afraid not to work together. And it's fun to work together. And if I was going to counsel you with one thing, that is probably one thing I would tell you. You get out of this life what you put into it, and the eternities to go with that. And I would tell you to work and work at it. And you guys are a great couple. You're a beautiful couple. As I was going to talk about that story at the man cave, I asked Josh how was it to ask Mike about getting married. And he said he went down to the man cave, which there must be a few head mounts or something in there, or the den. And he went in to talk to Mike, and he said with a straight face, and I thought this was cool. And he looked back at him and says, "I've never seen Erin happier," was your comment that day. So then I asked Erin the same thing when you talked to Lindsay, which this answer didn't surprise me. She went to him and asked the first two questions. And you might know from the dairyman, how much milk do you drink? And have you ever worked on a farm? And I says, you two are a match made in heaven. And we come back to the triangle of God. There was so much truth in what was taught in that temple today. You know, we don't talk about a lot of the things in the temple because of the sacredness of it. It isn't the secretness of it, it's the sacredness of it. And it's a sacred orifice, and we know that. But as you come closer to God, you will come closer together. As it says in Mark, as you guys leave home and you leave your parents, he's not going to become Mike. She's not going to become Jenna Lee. She's Erin and you're Josh. And that's what's awesome. They're there to support you. They'll be there to work with you. They'll be there to love you, support you. But for heaven's sakes, when you have trials or things that you need to talk, they're only a phone call away. You still have 4 great friends. But you two are the first 2 friends. And if I had to acknowledge you, something else that I learned, every Sunday there was a Bible study in one home, and I know as well as in the other. Keep God in the forefront of your lives. And I know one of you, as you've told me several times, and you'll notice in your own couple, I mean, my wife and I are the same. When you kneel down at night, as your dad taught you, he might need to pray and you might need to pray, but you guys will know. And I strongly encourage you to keep God in the foresight of your life, and it will make things great with your Father in heaven. It's getting hot out here, isn't it? There's some other stories. I have to tell you this one, Erin. I thought of this one last night, and I've lost a few nights' sleeps over this. And I was up, and actually it was quite early this morning when I just couldn't roll, and I said, I just don't have it, and I just don't have it. And I'm sorry, Josh, but this is what came to me. I got to tell you, I coached Josh when he's in Little League about this tall, and he was only about that tall in 4th grade, and I've known him throughout the years, and he's worked with me, and we've drove trucks, he's hauled potatoes and whatnot, but there was a night, and you might get more information out of him than that, but he come home a little later, and he should, and I remember his dad telling me, I got to get home before his mom kills him. But that was a story I wanted to share, but I have no idea what happened, but it's just one of those things that a parental time. But anyway, many moons ago, and we change and move on. I don't have a lot of stories about you, Erin, other than that. I didn't learn much. I asked your parents, and they wouldn't share one with me, but something that you did tell me about your mother that I wanted to share with everyone. It's your responsibility for who you are, and own up to it. If you have an issue or thing, and I think I'm telling a lot about the fire engines. Perfect timing. Sounds like we're out in the mountains. We're just above Star Valley a little bit, but the beautiful trees. But lets you know things are real. But I've talked about your parents and your family and your grandparents because that's who you really are. And they've taught you who to become. And they're honest and loyal and God-fearing people. And I would strongly encourage you to follow with that. There's something I wanted to talk to you about. I know we're here for the ring ceremony today. And the ring's been around for a long time. And due to my high skills here, the wedding ring is an emblem and throughout time has symbolized love, devotion, and even an agreement between families. The physical structure of the wedding ring has changed as different civilizations have changed it to look more and more beautiful. Some materials are more dear like precious metals and are considered to be of greater value, hence might mean more. However, the meaning behind this symbol has stayed the same throughout the time and over continents. I love you and I wish to be with you forever. You are mine and I am yours. The symbol exists through our culture, even the materials in the wedding's ring. Out of the appearance, the symbol of love and devotion. A great deal of couples select a diamond on their wedding rings. Diamonds are literally indestructible, are forever. Stone you may want to select. Optimize your love. The wedding ring was adored in past times like it is presently. On the left hand, the third finger, The reason being because it is a strong belief, but I will interject it. They have later sciences, it's not totally true, but I thought it sounded cool, that the vein in the finger moves once from the heart to the third finger. The notion was endorsed as ladies commenced wearing the wedding rings closer to their hands, and then in the engagement, the ring in the same hand, affirming the notion of being closer to their heart. You know, and the ring is, there's no beginning, there's no end. And as the rings, and as you share them with one another, and we're going to do that in a few moments, it's a symbol, yeah, she's yours and I'm his. Yours, mine, and I'm yours. And what a blessing that is. And as you get more years in age, and as I've talked to some of the people out here in the congregation, they're probably the ones that should be up giving this talk, the ones that have been married for 58 years, 52 years. I've learned from your grandparents. That's living proof of what a great it is. And if you two want to hold Andrew for, but one other thing I want to share. Tuesday with Maury. I don't know if anybody's at. Still, Maury said, there are a few rules I know to be true about love and marriage. If you don't respect the other person, you're going to have a lot of trouble. If you don't know how to compromise, you're going to have a lot of trouble. If you can't talk openly about what goes on between you, you're going to have a lot of trouble. And if you don't have a common set of values in life, you're going to have a lot of trouble. Your values must be alike. And the biggest one of those values, Mitch, yes, your belief in the importance of marriage. And as you slip these rings on today, we'll have a time that it is a commitment of an eternal round. Do you two want to say your story? They want to take just a second before we go to the rings. I want them to turn and tell their story. I think they have a trip home from Texas and a few other stories that they like to tell their story. But you probably got to come to the mics, Lane. Here, I'll bring it to you. Do it together, however.
Okay. Well, so funnily enough, Casey's son was the one that talked me into trying my best at being a door-to-door salesman in pest control, and so he's the one to blame. So I guess that's why he's doing it. So.
And a boy that I went to high school with, he also sold pest control door to door and said, "Oh, Erin, come with me." And the one summer I was like, "No, I have a good job in Logan." So I didn't go that summer. And the next summer he came home and he was like, "Come with me this summer." I talked to Mom and Dad about it and thought about it. And I ended up going down to sell pest control, and I met all 5 other boys in this office, and they all were very concerned about my well-being, and I didn't teach them. And then we got down there, and I met Josh, and he still didn't talk to me for like 6 weeks. All he said was like, "Now it's gone." That was it.
Well, when I got there, the only thing that was on my mind was trying to make as much money as they told me I could make, but that didn't really go to plan. So, yeah, so while we're out there, one night I was doing my usual thing, watching cartoons.
Everyone else, they all left, and I was by yourself knocking doors, and I lived by myself, and I was lonely, and I probably already talked to my mom on the phone that night, and I was so lonely. So I go over there, and I was like, "Hey, so could I like watch cartoons with you?" Because he's the only one who seriously didn't talk to me. I was like, "He's like, yeah, it's fine." So I sat down, and we started to watch cartoons, and the other boys came in later, and we kept talking and moved into the living room, and then the next day we got up and he came over to say thanks for last night, and I was like, "Oh man, I should make him breakfast." The only thing I had was Kix cereal, and so I was like, "Oh, you want to Kix cereal?" We had cereal and went to church, and from then on, I don't think that we spent a day where we didn't spend time together in Texas, and then we drove home together and talked on the phone the whole way. 900 miles home, and I've been so happy to see green in my whole life that I was after that summer.
I guess I wasted 6 weeks because it was probably the best decision of my life to just keep talking to her.
I even tried. We went to dinner at this lady's house, and all the boys are like laying on the floor and stuff, and Josh goes over and starts playing the piano, and I sit down and I was like, "That's really good," and he was like, "Yep. Right now and stuff." And he just keeps playing, and I was like, "Well, how do you have a girlfriend?" And he was like, "I don't know." I kept playing the piano, so I just didn't think he wanted to talk to me. But we came back here and we started school again, and that was a new challenge to spend time together and still do well in school. But it works that Josh is so A-driven, so I got really good grades this year.
You're welcome.
I got really good grades. And we got the opportunity to hang out with all of our friends here. We even set up our one friend, and he's getting married. We're really proud of that. You're welcome. And we got to meet each other's family. My dad took us shooting. And then when we went to Lindsay and Janice, we took their whole family shooting, and that was really fun.
And then one day, so this spring in February, she was teaching at school and she was having a parent-teacher conference. So I decided to show up and surprise her, and I had this little ring box in my pocket, and I was just like, how am I gonna hide this? Because it's just this huge, just. Anyways, so
and
I showed
was
up.
Like, why are you here? I'm here with the kids. Like, I just want to. I was like, what are you doing? Like, I'll be done in a little bit. And you were so nervous.
And I was just like all shaky, and I didn't know what to do. And the night before, we had went and ate at Panda Express, and she got a fortune cookie that said something about needing to be more spontaneous. And so I'm just like, well, we got to be more spontaneous. So after this, we're gonna go be spontaneous. And so then we left, and she's like, well, where are we going? I was like, listen. You can't know where we're going if you're going to be spontaneous. So we just got to make this a surprise. So then I took her to Merlin Olsen Park, which I always thought of as Secret Park until I learned its name because it's kind of hidden off on its own. And we're just walking out there, and she was getting all nervous and talking a lot, and
because that's a surprise.
So we walk out there, and there's like this little arch bridge, and she's still talking and asking me all these questions, and I was just like, yeah, okay. And I was like, well, is this like a memorable place? She's like, well, yeah. And then she goes on about how it's memorable, the trees and all this stuff. And I was like, well, would you be able to remember this place as the one I asked you to marry me? And then I got down on my knee, and
I got so excited I forgot to say yes. And he was like, are you going to say yes? And I was like, oh, yes. And then he's like, do you want to wear the ring? And I was like, oh, yeah, I want to wear the ring. I forgot about that. I'd been asking and asking for a long time, and he was just like, yeah, it'll come. You just never told me anything. So then the last 4 months we've spent planning for this and waiting for everybody to come together. And we just want to say thank you to everybody who's here today. I wouldn't be who I am without my mom and dad and my 2 grandparents and my sweet sisters and my friends and the rest of my family. I'm so lucky that you're here with me today.
And I'm so grateful for how she was raised, because she was able to answer my dad's questions and win his approval very easily with her work-driven spirit. And so I'm so grateful for that and the kindness that they always share with me. And I'm also grateful for my family for being able to travel here and be with us this day. It really means a lot to us. Thank you for my friends for also being here and supporting me and wearing such wonderful shirts.
You look dashing. I think that's our story. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You ready to move on? Well done. Well done. Do we have some rings? Best man, bridesmaids? I don't know what's appropriate because you've been married already, and I think as I've read and I've studied about this, I'm going with the words and I'm going to use my own judgment, but I think, Josh, you're supposed to go first here. And as you put that ring on her finger, I hope you really realize it goes, you guys can, the she is yours and I'm yours. She is mine and I am yours and you're mine. And I think as you give the other ring to Josh, it's a symbolism of the eternities. It's a symbol of not ever taking it off and being proud of who you are. And remember, you are his and you're his. And I've now lost all my words. You're mine and I am yours. And as you live your life that way, you'll have an awesome life. And life is as great as that. And remember, there's one person that's the happiest person in the whole world. And that's our Father in heaven. All goodness comes from him. Good people come from him. And you two are truly great people, and you have great heritage. You have a great family, and you have a great heritage in front of you. Now, if you'd like to kiss the new bride, please do so at this time. We're not done, but we're going to go on. There was one little more segment that Erin wanted me to do since the iPad turned off. I want to read one little thought, and then we're going to go. We'll close this up. This is from the First Presidency. Marriage between a man and a woman is ordained of God, and that of family is central to the Creator's plan for the eternal destiny of his children. In the premortal realm, spirit sons and daughters knew and worshiped God as their eternal Father and accepted his plan by which his children could attain a physical body and gain earthly experience. To progress towards perfection, ultimately realize their divine destiny and heirs and eternal life. The divine plan of happiness enables family relationships to perpetuate beyond the grave. Sacred ordinances and covenants available in holy temples make it possible for individuals to return to the presence of God and for families to be united for eternally. Husband and wife have a solemn responsibility to love and care for one another. For the children are the higher heritage of the Lord. The family is ordained of God. Marriage between a man and woman is essential to the eternal plan. Children are entitled to the birth within the bonds of matrimony and to be fathered by a mother and honored in the marital vows with complex fidelity. A happy family in life is most likely to be achieved when founded upon the teachings of the Lord Jesus Christ. Successful marriages and families are established and maintained on principles of faith, prayer, repentance, forgiveness, respect, love, compassion, work, and wholesome recreational activities. By divine design, fathers are to preside over their families in love and righteousness and are responsible to provide the necessities of life and protect for their family. Mothers are primarily responsible for the nurture of their children. In these sacred responsibilities, fathers and mothers are obligated to help one another as equal partners. Disability, death, or other circumstances necessitate vital adaptation. Extended families should be lent support as needed. You've been taught these principles, and you guys have been raised that way. And they wanted us to take just a moment, and I think after that, and their whole life has been based around God, and they've been respect for nature. And Erin asked if we'd all take just a moment and bow our heads and a prayer in their behalf, and just take 30 seconds here. You're a beautiful couple. You have a beautiful life ahead of you. And if I could give you any advice, work hard and run fast, because it is a great time. And and don't forget to smell the flowers along the way. But at this time, I'd like to present to you, hand in hand, arm in arm, however you want to be, Mr. and Mrs. Josh Dimond. Josh and Erin Dimond. Thank you. You're welcome. With that, I think the bride knows where you're going, right? Aren't you guys going up around? We're going to excuse the bride and groom, and they're going to mosey. They said they were going to greet you up there. Where are you guys going?
I think we're going to take some pictures with you guys all over.
Okay, we're going to take some pictures here. If mothers and mom and dads, if you'd like to come forward and take a moment here, or we'll take some pictures, please. Grandma and grandpas, anyone who would like to come forward, and we can reconvene for pictures. It's time.
Nobody here knocking at my door. The sound of silence, I can't take anymore. Nobody ringing my telephone now. Oh, how I miss such a beautiful sound. And I don't even know how I survive. I won't make it to the shore without your light. No, I don't even know if I'm alive. Oh, without you now, this is what it feels like. without you now. This is what it feels like.
Hello. Can you all hear me? What's that? No, ding the glass for me, Anna. I'd like to welcome everybody. And I'm Mike Garner. I've met most of you. I'm Erin's dad. And on behalf of her mother Lisa and me, we'd like to thank y'all for coming. I'd like to thank the Dimonds for this wonderful meal. It's very nice of them. Casey, I'd like to thank you for the lovely ceremony. That was really nice. So I can't believe they're letting me talk. I haven't got to talk in public for 20 years. So Lisa and her daughter are probably a little nervous what I might say. You probably don't have too much to worry about, but Josh, you might. No, just kidding. A little over a year ago, we had a pretty sad time in our family. We lost my sister, Debbie, and I know she's watching us. So, Debbie, this is for you. A little after that, my lovely wife talked me into going to El Paso, Texas in July, in the heat of the summer. And everybody that knows me, I fought it, and I'm glad I did. We traveled through some really neat country, and when we got there, I'd never seen my daughter so happy. And Josh, I credit that to you. Lindsay and Jana, you did a wonderful job with your son. We've been around him a little bit, and you did good. You raised a fine son. Erin, you're always going to be my little baby. I remember when you were just a little kid, and no matter, I know you're Josh's now, but I'll still remember that I talked to Carol Barrow today, and she reminded me of some stories when you were little. One story was you had a swing in between our living room and our kitchen, and Erin loved to bounce on this swing. And I'd come home and grab her and pull her back and let her go. And Carol kind of took exception to me doing that to her baby. This was her baby, not mine. And Carol, take a bow. You did a good job. Carol's our adopted grandma, and she did a fantastic job. So the other story kind of involves Carol too. We were talking about today. Erin's first doll was Bert. I got the pleasure of naming Bert. He was a little girl doll. Well, one day we forgot Bert. It was on a weekend, and we had to go visit Lisa's folks. And she cried, and she cried. Well, when we got back Sunday night, we had to go to Carol's house. When we got there, Bert was stuck between the door and the screen door. The screen door was locked. If you want to talk about tears. But I think Bert's still around the house. So, and then I remember walking Erin around. Her mother would get so mad at me because she was like 9, 10 months old, and I'd come home and grab her fingers, and we'd walk around the house, and she would run around the house at like 10 months old. And I don't think she's ever forgiven me for that, Lisa's mom, because she would get into everything, knock her head on stuff. She couldn't quite walk good enough to go, so she'd hit her head on furniture and what have you. I can't believe what a beautiful woman you've grown into, Erin. We're very proud of you. You guys are going to go through some good times, and you're going to go through some rough times like this morning. I guess everybody heard the story. We lost a wedding dress due to somebody broke into Erin's car. But you can tell from the folks around you, everybody in this room here loves you. So you're going to have some good times and some rough times, but Josh, marriage is going to teach you some different things. Among those are loyalty, self-restraint, obedience, etc. Myself, I'm still working on those. You have time. But don't ever forget, marriages are made in heaven. Of course, so is thunder and lightning. I'm just saying. I'm going to give you a little bit of advice, Josh. You're going to have your fights, but there's 3 little words that always help. And those words are, "You're right, dear." But all kidding aside, we're very happy to have you guys in the family. I'd like to welcome you, new son-in-law. I've always wanted a son, so now I've got one. One last word of wisdom, and we kind of went down the wrong way today, but in the banister of life, may the slivers all point the right way. You know what that means? They slide down the banister at their grandma and grandpa's all the time, especially when they're little, so you know what I'm talking about. Diamonds, Lindsay and Jana, thanks again for dinner. You've raised a wonderful son. Like I said, I've never seen Erin happier. So I know you've done a wonderful, wonderful job. And so in all seriousness, I'd like to raise our glasses and toast Erin and Josh. I'd like to wish you the health and happiness and a long life, grandkids, when the time comes. Here's to you guys. Cheers. With that, I'll give the floor up to Lindsay, and he can have a visit with you.
I inherited a few things from my father. Some of my siblings may have also. I don't know if they got it quite as extreme, but I'm shaky, and when I get nervous, it gets exponentially worse. And so if I shake a little bit, I hope you forgive me. I got a couple other traits from my father too. One is when I speak in public, I have to be kind of careful what I speak about, because he said to me one time, he says, "You're kind of like me." I says, "How's that?" And he says, "Apparently your bladder's too close to your eyeballs, and when it gets full, you kind of spill out." Excuse the expression. Bless his heart and rest in peace. Mike was a pretty tough act to follow. I probably haven't been speaking in public too much the last few years either, and I think you did a great job, and I mimic a lot of the things you say. I'd like to add a little bit to it, maybe. We didn't go down to El Paso by any means, but after they came back, well, actually, I take that back. The first notice we had of Erin being out there is we talked to Josh on the phone, and who's with you, and what are you doing, and how are your friends, and stuff like that. And we started seeing a few pictures show up, and there just happened to be this really pretty girl in there. And I would say, well, who's the girl in the pictures? Oh, she's just one of the salespeople that came down. Well, I'm like, so what's the story here? I mean, get with it, you know. And he put me off for a long, long time, and in fact, I think that they had that Kix cereal for many months before I found out about it. But they, after coming back home and going back to school, sometime last fall, and I can't remember exactly when it was, the date, but they came home for the weekend, and we had the opportunity of meeting, and I may have asked about the drinking of the milk and living on the farm. I can't remember for sure. I'm kind of like a goldfish one time around the bowl, and I've forgotten what I've talked about with anybody. So if I tell the same story, you might raise your hand and say, "You already told that one." But it didn't take very long to realize why Josh liked her. And although as a parent, you're always kind of curious who your kids get involved with, I also learned a long time ago that if my kids like them, well, in the case of Josh specifically now, if he likes her, we better like her. And he has exceptional taste. He's always been kind of picky. When he brought you home and started talking so fondly of you, honestly, it was a case of I don't doubt it a bit. And he liked you because you were the cream of the crop, pride of the fleet. And we think the same of you, Erin. And obviously, your parents raised you well. And she shared a lot of stories about riding on the horses with her dad and taking care of the animals and having the somewhat of a petting zoo in your yard. The cats, and I think you've had a lot of ducks and things like that, maybe some geese. And those are things that I think raise kids. Those are things that help kids to understand life lessons. And but Josh, you do need to be a little careful. I likewise visited with Carol for the first time today, and she shared something with me that I was actually quite grateful. She says when she was babysitting Erin as a child, Erin approached her one day, and she said she would put her hands on her hips, and she'd look up at her and she'd say, "I'm the boss." Now, my father didn't give very much advice when I got married. And I'll try to bring this together. I think it'll make a little sense to you. But I took stock in that comment and thought, you know, that's pretty profound. Because that's just about the same thing my father said to me, but he used different words. I'll give you a little history. This, for example, was a home of one of the founders of the area, Brigham Young. And Brigham Young was a famous man for settling property all over Utah and into Idaho and into Nevada and several other states in the area. One of the hardy pioneers that came into this region. And he learned a lot of lessons along the way. But one of the lessons he learned rather quickly is a lesson my father repeated to me. And it really wasn't very long. And I don't mean ill by it. He never explained it to me, I'll tell you that. I'll preface it by that. But he said, "Son, I'm going to tell you one thing." And I says, "What's that?" And he says, "You're going to learn a lesson that it's a lot easier to feed the Indians than to fight them." That's exactly what I'm like, But over the years, I have learned what he meant. And I'm not going to explain it, because if you don't know, you'll figure it out yourself. But I learned that if you feed the Indians feed you. And Josh, you're gonna be responsible for a lot of different things. And I'm gonna challenge you in front of everybody to make sure you do it just like you did with the A's or the other things that were talked about today. Do it 100%. Provide for her, care for her, treat her like a queen, because she is. She has wonderful parents and grandparents and family and friends who have raised her in a wonderful area. And now you have an opportunity and an obligation to continue that training. Josh is a good kid, and I'm proud of him. About 22 years ago, we actually were right up here on the hill at the Primary Children's Hospital. He was 1 year old, and excuse me, we were actually feeding calves, and he had just shortly before then learned to walk, and he was getting around pretty good, and we were out feeding these calves, and I don't know, we probably had about 50 of them, and he wandered off, which he did regularly. He would wander off rather quickly, and about that point, I heard a scream, and his mother was there, and I ran over to find that he had gotten up next to an ATV that we used to pull a trailer with that had been just running, and he reached up and he grabbed the manifold right where it comes off of the motor. And as you can imagine, this 1 year old child, immediately his hand was blistered beyond recognition. And so we ran him to the hospital, and they're locally, and the doctors kind of looked at it, and I think it might be all right, you know. And we didn't feel good about it, and so the next morning we ran him to a pediatrician that he had gone to since he was born, and the pediatrician proceeded to say, well, maybe we could do this or this or this. But we didn't feel very confident about that, and so we called my oldest brother, and he's a couple of days older than me, but these are some of my siblings. A couple of them couldn't make it, but my brother here is a doctor, and I proceeded to ask him, what do you think we ought to do? And he said, give me a few minutes and I'll call you back. And he called an acquaintance that he had been schooled by here at the University of Utah. He says, how fast can you, excuse me, how fast can you make it down to Salt Lake? And I says, well, it probably takes about 3 hours if we drive straight down. He says, go down there and Dr. Lister will be there waiting for you. And I don't know why I'm telling you this story, except that it kind of shows Josh what he is. And they did something really, I thought was unusual, but they casted it. And then we came back a couple times, and it healed up nicely. And we nicknamed the doctor. I hope you'll excuse this, Marlon, but if you have a blister, go to Dr. Lister. But that's Josh's. I'm not aware of any other birthmarks Josh has, but that became his birthmark to me. And I don't know, as anybody ever knows, he even has those scars on his hand. I suspect Erin's found them, but he hides them well. But he's always been good to stand up and buck up and get over it rather quickly, and he's one that's loyal. He's as loyal as the day is long, and I appreciate him for that. I likewise want to share my appreciation for each and every one of you coming. A lot of you are friends and family. I'm pleased to get to know the Garner side of the family and share some tender moments as well as some laughs with them. I appreciate your grandfather in particular this morning making the comment that I think it's Grandpa Bill. Have I forgotten already, or is that correct? Are you Bill? Okay. Actually, 30 years ago, my wife and I were in this very room doing the same thing, and my mother said, well, introduce everybody on your side of the family. And quite honestly, I started off with one uncle. That's Uncle, I don't know. And my dad was sitting there, and he says, let me help you out. And anyway, but I remembered Bill. Anyway, Bill said, he said, you know, the wedding dress incident is tragic today, and we cry about it. But he said they'll laugh about it for the next 20 years. And I appreciate that good advice. That shows what kind of character and family you come from, Erin. Thank you very much. And I would likewise like to raise a toast to Erin and Josh, wishing them eternity of happiness. Cheers.
I guess we're supposed to offer a little bit of advice, but I feel like I'm still a student. So, if I could give any advice to you guys, it would just be not to sweat the small stuff, only worry about the things that are important, and be able to admit that you're wrong sometimes. That helps. And just always tell each other that you love each other, and you'll be good to go.
Okay, I'm Sasha. Me and Erin have been friends since our sophomore year. She's been a really good friend to me, and I'm excited I've been able to be a part of her wedding. If I ever have any advice for you guys, we've only been married 3 months, but we have learned a lot along the way. Just always remember, this is advice that was given to us, is always remember why you fell in love with each other. It's really easy to get mad at each other and think, what the heck was I thinking? But just always remember those things that you love about each other. That hasn't happened to me yet. It's okay. My second piece of advice is never stop acting like newlyweds. Like, pretend like you're on your honeymoon forever. My other thing, this is from experience, talk things out. Make sure you never fall asleep mad. And Erin, if you need to talk about things and he's asleep, you wake him up and say, I still need to talk about this. And Josh, don't fall asleep when she's talking to you. And let her talk until she's done talking. Like, you might think, oh, we talked about it, it's fine, but girls need maybe to talk about things a little longer. Okay? So men and women think very differently. That's what I've come to find. So Erin, just make sure you tell Josh exactly what you want. Because they can't figure it out on their own. And Josh, tell Erin she's beautiful every single day. And she'll love you for that. And we love you too, and we're so happy to be a part of this wedding, and cheers to the new couple.
Her grandma here. The only reason I got to get up today is Nancy and I have been married just about 58 years, so they tell us that's the oldest ones here. But anyway, I just want to wish these kids the best, but we met them down in Arizona. I said, you got to bring Josh down to meet me. So they charged down to Arizona, and we met, and nice guy. He fits well. The one thing I want to tell both of you, the first thing you got to do is be best friends all your life. You can listen to everything they tell you, but be best friends. You faced your first issue this morning. You made it through it. There's going to be a lot of them, good and bad. Just give it heck, guys, and have a wonderful life. Cheers.
Okay, I don't want to talk first.
Okay.
Okay, go.
All right. Hi, everybody. I am Erin's sister, Anna, and this is her sister, Haley, and we are the co-maids of honor, I guess. I have not known Josh that long, maybe less than a year, but I've been around him long enough to know that he's a kind, classy, smart guy, and he obviously comes from a wonderful family. And I have known Erin quite a while, but she is just wonderful, and I mean, she's more than just my sister. I mean, we're blood related, but as my sister, she's been my protector and my confidant, and somebody who's always looked out for me, even if it was not appreciated all the time. But I am just so glad that you guys went to El Paso and found each other. And you guys look so wonderful today. And there was a bump in the road this morning, but you handled it well, so good job. There you go.
Well, I told them, and it's funny, so I'm going to say it again. I think weddings are fun because they're like a happy funeral. Like, because it kind of feels like I'm losing you, but you're still here, and I get Josh. It's great. And I just want to tell Josh, I know Erin likes you, like, a lot, because she's always talking to me, and she's like, you like him? He's so cute, isn't he? Like, he's so nice. And he made me breakfast today. And I was like, yeah, he's a nice boy, even when I didn't know you. And anyways, I just, wanted to tell you good choice in each other, because I like you together. Because your smiles are real, you know. They complement each other, and I like you. And didn't bring my glass, but
Cheers.
Cheers.